Hello, hello, and welcome. This is Sarah Nicole Nadler, and we are back for day 2 of the Reignite Your Goals for 2021 challenge. So today I am not actually going to be doing a Facebook room. The reason for that is because I have a lot to cover today and we won't have time for a Q&A at the end, unfortunately. But if you're dropping comments, I will be able to see the comments. I'm going to have Facebook open on my phone as well so I can see the comments as fast as possible, but we're going to just blow through some awesome training today because the whole purpose of today is to give you strategies for client attraction so you can actually hit 6 or 7 figures in your business this year. So I want to just cover a lot of things. We're going to dive right into it. Before I get started, I have just 2 quick announcements. One, if you want to get a copy of my book, which just came out, what was it, a week and a half ago? I'm very, very, very excited about this book. A lot of the strategies I'm going to be talking about today are covered in more detail inside this book, and you can easily get a copy for $2.99. You can get the ebook, or you can buy this on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, pretty much anywhere books are sold, you'll find a copy on the shelf. So go ahead and check it out. The other thing I wanted to say is congratulations to Jessica because she is the winner of yesterday's prize. Now, one quick tip for anybody who has not already downloaded the workbook for this challenge, there are about close to $2,000 worth of prizes I'm giving away in just these 3 days, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So you really don't want to miss out. We only had, I think, about 15 people register for this challenge out of the 300, 400, 500 people in the group. So only the 15 of you even qualify to get these giveaways. So I just want to point out that your odds of winning a prize are extremely high, and the only thing you have to do is have registered for the challenge, download the workbook, do your homework, and drop your homework in the group. And every single day there's also a bonus giveaway if you share your takeaways from that day with your friends and invite them to join this challenge. In the last couple days, we've already had 3 more people go ahead and register for the challenge, probably because Jessica and a few others of you did tag me and share that link. So thank you so much for making this more fun, bringing your friends and your colleagues in on it. I am a full-time business consultant. This is what I do as my livelihood every single day. I work with 6- and 7-figure business owners. And then I come into this group in my spare time to share free training for startup entrepreneurs. The majority of people in this business Facebook group are pretty new entrepreneurs. We do have some of my long-term clients in here. We do have some people who have, larger businesses who are part of this group, but the majority of you guys are brand new, and I know that. So all of this training is geared towards helping you start and grow your business. And I'm doing all of it for free because I want to give back. I wish someone had training like this when I was trying to start my business. So please take the opportunity to actually do the homework, because the reason why I'm incentivizing you to get the homework done is because I know you're actually going to get something out of this training if you do the work. So that's just my little plug for you guys today. Please do go ahead and download the workbook. If for some reason you can't find the workbook, then go ahead and drop a comment below and I will make sure that you get a copy. Okay, I will personally make sure my team emails you a copy today, but let's get that homework done so everybody can actually get something out of this challenge. All right. All that to say, Michelle says she loves the book. Thank you so much, Michelle. I love talking to my readers. I love hearing your guys' feedback. And yeah, this book was amazing and really, it was a bit raw to write. I'm not going to lie. I told some crazy stories in here of my own failures, my own experiences building my business, my first business, which was very exciting. But yeah, I think you guys are going to love that. So let's get straight into today's training. If you go ahead and open your workbook, you will see we're on day 2. And we're going to talk about the second ingredient of CEO. CEO really, for most of the corporate world, right? CEO stands for Chief Executive Officer. It's like the person who runs your business for you, right? in the CEO mindset, CEO stands actually for the 3-step framework that I teach to all of my clients. And the C, if you guys remember from yesterday, stands for control. Being in control of the outcome of your business. And I give you lots of tools yesterday. And that was what the homework was about, was to get the things in place that you do have control over the outcome in your business. Today, we're going to talk about the E. The E in CEO, and I want you guys to write this down right here in your worksheet. The E stands for expectations, and specifically for exceeding expectations of your clients. So that's really, I think, the first tip when it comes to building a 6-figure business. It is not going to happen if you aren't exceeding the expectations of your clients. So of course, we need a feedback system in place, right? So that we can find out what the expectations of potential clients are and therefore meet or exceed them. I've talked a lot in the past about the 4 money mindsets you can have as a business owner. So I'm not going to dive into that again, but they are essentially rip off, partial, right? Like doing a half-ass job all the time, fair exchange, and then abundance mindset, where we're always trying to exceed the person's expectations. And that is what it takes to actually build a successful client success system, where the clients feel like they're successful every time they come to your company. That is really crucial key part of your marketing system, your client attraction system, because if you have bad word of mouth going around the town or around the community, the Facebook community about your business, and every time someone sees your business, they go, oh, I heard about so-and-so, and some friend of theirs goes, oh, you don't want to work with them, blah, 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 right? If you have that kind of thing going on inside your Facebook group or inside your community or out in the world, you're going to really struggle with sales and really struggle with marketing, really struggle to hit 6+ figures in your business because you have bad word of mouth that you created, right? Sometimes bad word of mouth is created by competitors. They're trying to badmouth you, etc. But I'm talking about not exceeding your client's expectations. And so they kind of have like I was a little underwhelmed when I went to him or her. And then because of that, they go around and they spread that, right? It's a sad truth that we have to face as business owners, that a person is 5 times more likely to talk about a bad experience than they are to talk about a good one. So it's really important to at least be doing fair exchange, if not exchange in abundance, with all of your customers. This comes down to how they're treated, right? The customer service end of it, the speed of delivery, and of course, actually getting what they came for, right? Delivering what was promised and more. So that is really the very first thing I want you to do today, is take a look over the different areas of your business and look for what I call the wow factor. Look at your emails, take a look, just do a little bit of an executive inspection of your business, even if you're the only one who works in your business, and look for wow factor. Is every single contact point with the customer creating wow, right? The design, the colors, the words, are you using good grammar in your emails, right? Are you using proper punctuation, etc.? On your website, everywhere someone could contact you. I just want you to do a small review, maybe take 10, 20 minutes. I don't want you to spend hours on this, right? But just take a look and see, maybe make some notes for yourself of areas where you could work better at exceeding people's expectations, all right? That's really, I think, the foundational step of all your marketing and all your sales, is you have to have something worth selling, right? And know what it's going to take to exceed that person's expectations. Now, I talked about the 6-figure feedback cycle, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more right now. So one of the things that I think a lot of entrepreneurs make this mistake when they're first starting out with their company, or anytime they launch a new service or product. For instance, yesterday, one of my 7-figure business owners reached out to me yesterday. We have a monthly call that we do, and he sat down with me. It was him and his whole marketing team. They said, hey, we just bought this new piece of equipment. It can do this brand new thing for customers, and we really want to launch it right. What do we do, Sarah, right? And so I took him through the 6 steps of how to launch. And again, if you guys are interested in learning more about this, you can absolutely sign up for my Inner Circle program, and we'll work one-on-one to actually launch something in your business. But the very first step of launching is actually not building it out at all. It's not launching itself. It's the pre-work that has to be done. And the very first step of pre-work is to make a list of the qualities that make an ideal client, right? So here's an established business owner making 7 figures, but we still, every time we launch a new service, we have to take a step back and go, all right, this is a new product. Let's not make any assumptions. Let's figure out in our heads and in our hearts, what are the qualities that would make someone a good fit for this service? Because this is new to us, right? And so for him, he actually had a good number of already existing clients who would probably be a great fit for this new service too. That's a great idea if you have an already established business, to try to come up with something that's not going after a brand new market, but actually just something you can sell to already existing clients as well as bringing in new business. So he did a really good job in choosing the new equipment he was going to purchase. And now it was time to actually go ahead and get it out in front of people. So if you're brand new in business and you aren't making the kind of sales that you want to make, you look at the first 6 months of 2021 and you go, wow, I sold about 1 person a month or 1 person a week or something that's unsustainable, right? Then you need to go back to validate stage of your business, right? There are 6 stages to building a business. The very first one is validate. Before you ever even do build stage is number 2. Build stage is where you're creating a website, creating a logo, right? Establishing your LLC or whatever type of business you're going to have. That's build stage. Before build stage, we have validate stage, where you need to just validate your business idea. Make sure that you're presenting it in such a way to the right people that will make them actually want to show up and buy it, right? So this is definitely a step of validate stage. And every time an established business goes to launch something new, they have to start again in validate stage, not as a whole company, but just for this new product or service. So these are the steps of validate stage, right? Make a list of the qualities that make an ideal client for that particular service. Or if it's a whole company that you're starting, you've never owned this business before, you've never done this before. Oh, excuse me, lost an earring. Look at that. All right. If you launching a business for the very first time, then you want to go back to this little bit of homework, this little bit of pre-work, and go, okay, who would be a great fit? Now, here's the thing. When we're talking about qualities, we don't just want demographics, right? Demographics are very key. Don't get me wrong. We want those demographics. What's the average age? What gender, if that's relative in any way to this product, right? Location. If you're a location-based business, you don't want to be going after people in Timbuktu, right? Because they're probably not going to travel to Midtown, Texas, or wherever you are, right? So taking a look at those demographics, but also looking at psychographics. What attitude or mindset does the potential client have to be in to be a really good fit for your business, right? Maybe you were looking for people who already are somewhat familiar with the pain point that you solve, right? So taking a look at that is the first step of building a 6-figure business, because you have to really get to know the person you're talking to. Now, of course, the next thing is we have to get their feedback. We have to actually get what we call here in marketing, we call it a hot button. A hot button is essentially, well, what's a button, right? It's something you can push that will cause a reaction. A hot button is a word or a phrase gotten through surveys of your actual potential clients, which if you use that word or phrase in marketing and in client attraction, it creates more reach than if you didn't, right? So another great example of this, I had a client way back who he's an orthodontist, so he does braces, right, Invisalign, that type of thing. And he wanted to target busy professionals, right? People like me, actually, people who are, maybe grew up not able to afford braces or something like that, but then found themselves in a career where their smile matters, right? You're like doing a lot of public speaking, or maybe they want to be an Instagram influencer or something like that. He wanted to target that audience of professionals who care about what their smile is. And he kept using this buzzword in all of his marketing. He kept saying, Are you embarrassed about your smile? Are you embarrassed about your smile? And that was sort of the buzzword he was trying to push. And in his ads, in his posts, the way he talked about it on flyers, and he made billboards, he was spending a lot of money on advertising. And he was not getting the results that he wanted. So he came to me and I said, that buzzword you're using, right? Of, are you embarrassed about your smile? Where did that come from? And he's like, oh, well, we just kind of came up with it. This is something I hear from way too many business owners, right? And especially new entrepreneurs. But sadly, even well-established companies make this mistake. They sit in a room, right? And they dream up their marketing idea rather than going direct to market, right? Reason why it's called marketing, going direct to their audience and finding out what they're actually struggling with, right? What words are actually going through their heads. So when we went and we did the survey, guess what we found out, guys? The majority of that target market, these busy professionals, were not embarrassed about their smile. It'd been that way their whole lives. They just really didn't care, which makes sense. Once we sat and we thought about it, it really kind of made sense, because if they were truly embarrassed about it, they probably would not have chosen a career where they had to stand on stage, right? But the hot button that we got out of doing that survey was worried that you're not being hired, right? Like worried that you're being held back in your career because of your smile. That was what was actually worrying them. And when we started using that in the promotion, the numbers went out the roof, guys. So I'm just showing this as an example to you of how important this feedback cycle is. Now let's talk about strategy. How do we actually get that kind of feedback from people? Well, that's what this second line in the worksheet was about. What are you going to offer to your ideal client in exchange for their feedback? Because the truth is, when we go to do surveys online these days, it's really sometimes difficult to get the person to actually pause what they're doing and fill out your survey. You would think it wouldn't be that hard, especially if you're only asking like 3 to 5 questions, which is what I recommend. But people just have a very short attention span, and there needs to be some kind of exchange. But if we offer something that's going to cost you, then the benefit of doing the survey kind of gets outweighed by the cost of doing it, right? So here's my tip for you. Come up with either a blog or some valuable article that your audience would be interested in. Maybe it's a video like this one. I could take this video, package it up, put it on, a page that they can't get to otherwise, like a landing page, and offer this as an incentive to someone to fill out my survey, right? Like, so fill out the survey for me. It takes you 2 minutes. And at the end, click the button and you'll have access to my how to attract enough clients to be a 6-figure business, right? Like that would be valuable information for any business owner, which would allow them to take the time to fill out my 3 to 5 question survey, because it's not going to take them very long. And then they get something of real value, but that doesn't cost me anything, right? So that's how I recommend putting together a digital survey. If you're going to do this survey on Facebook or Instagram or any other social media site, if you're going to try emailing it out to your clients or something like that, just put some kind of incentive at the end, and that's how you get it filled out. My second tip, which is actually even easier for those of you who have access to this, is if you're a location-based business and your customers come to you, then just print off a stack of those puppies and put them at reception with like a bowl of chocolate. I tell you, it works like a dream. The client comes in, they're there for their appointment, or they're coming into the store or whatever, and you say, hey, will you take 2 to 3 minutes to fill out these 5 questions for me? And afterwards, I'll give you a piece of chocolate, right? Super simple. They know they're helping you. Most people are very willing to do it, and they get something again, right? Which that piece of chocolate hopefully cost you about 10 cents, right? So these are 2 really easy ways to get these feedback surveys done. And the data that you get from them is solid gold, guys. Solid gold. Knowing exactly what's going through your customers' heads and what really interests them about your products will make all your copywriting, your website design, everything having to do with building your website and building your company. Any kind of marketing you do, it's going to make all of that way more effective. So it's really easy to do, not complicated, and very effective. Hopefully that's a great tip for you guys. All right. Now, for those of you who are interested in, you have this one burning question, you want to do a feedback survey or a marketing survey, but you don't know what questions to ask, I'm actually going to be putting sample questions, sample marketing questions to ask, real examples of surveys I've done that got great results for clients on the replay page. So if you've registered for this challenge and you have that link, head on over there by the end of today, as about an hour after this has aired, and those bonus questions will be available. If you haven't registered for the challenge yet, comment below and I will get that link to you so you can register and get access to all the giveaways, the close to $2,000 of the giveaways, and these bonus questions, all right, that you can use in your own feedback survey and your own marketing surveys. All right, now that being said, I want to talk a little bit more about what it really takes to get already existing clients to help you hit 6 figures in your business, because this is something I think a lot of entrepreneurs forget, especially when they're new and they're starting out. But even again, I've seen it, guys, with well-established companies that are taking their list of past customers who haven't been active for a while and they're shredding the lists, okay? Like shredding them, actually putting them through the shred and deleting those names. So I want to just take a moment here. We're going to talk about the 3 R's of marketing, these 3 simple strategies that you can use to attract more clients, all right? So here we go. Now, the very first R is having to do with, the clients you've already got. We want to actually make use of the clients you already have, right? Before we can do that, there's a couple of steps we have to kind of face. The first one is understanding the numbers in your business. Now, if you haven't even launched your business yet, then this is not really going to be helpful for you. Not to say it won't be helpful, but you won't be able to do this step yet, right? But if you've been in business for longer than 6 months, you should have these numbers and you should know them off the top of your head, because this is what I like to call marketing math. Marketing math is essentially how we make sure that we're not overspending in order to acquire the client, so to the point where we become unprofitable, right? So how do we make sure that we don't end up being unprofitable? Well, the first step is you have to know your average transaction fee. This is essentially how much does one customer typically spend with one visit to your company, right? If you're, a landscape artist, well, how much does one project normally cost, right? Or a web designer, how much is one project? If with me, right, if it's ongoing coaching or some other ongoing service that you deliver, like haircuts, etc., what is just one call or one haircut cost, right? So we need to know the average that a person typically spends in one visit. The second number that's important to know is your retention rate. Your retention rate is how frequently does a customer particularly come back. So in my case, I have a membership, right? So a person pays $150 a month to get one consulting call with me, and they stick around typically for about a year or more, right? I also have an unlimited consulting program, which includes training and training for your staff and unlimited number of calls with me and a whole program for your business, et cetera, which is $32,000 a year. So obviously that's a very wide gap. And so because I have these 2 completely different services I provide, I actually do my marketing very separately for both. And I keep these numbers separately. So if you have wide variances in your numbers, then don't just kind of come to a middle ground. You do want to break it up in that way. But for most of you, if you have one particular major service that you provide, you're going to want to just do this math once and figure out how many times does a person normally come back and get that again, right? So again, if you're cutting hair, how frequently does a person come back and actually get their haircut? Now, remember, it's not how frequently should they, right? Like I already know I probably should be getting a haircut more frequently than I do, but how frequently does your average customer come back? That's your retention rate, okay? Multiplying those 2 numbers together will give you what we call your customer lifetime value. So for me, $150 a month, and then a person normally sticks around for about a year or more. Let's just say a year, just to be simple. So what's 12 times 150? That would give me my customer lifetime value, right? So this is a very important number for you to know if you're going to be doing client attraction, because if you don't know how much money one new client is worth to your company in revenue, then you won't know how much you can afford to spend to acquire that customer. So when you're looking at your marketing report that your marketing agency gives you, or if you're a solopreneur and you're running ads yourself, or you're doing any kind of marketing yourself, the number you want to pay close attention to is your customer acquisition cost. In other words, how much money do you have to spend to get one new sale, right? And then we want to compare that number to how much money you actually make from one customer, so we can make sure you're remaining profitable, right? All right, now knowing those numbers, now let's talk about these 3 R's, okay? The first R is referrals. I have noticed a lot of businesses don't put enough attention on asking for referrals of already existing customers. But this is a great strategy that you can easily use no matter what industry you're in to get more clients without having to pay for advertising. Now, a lot of the time people say, well, it's all just word of mouth. I don't have any control over that. So let's talk, remember, because I said CEO, C stands for control. I want you to have some control over the number of referrals you get. So let me show you some strategies we have for doing that. My favorite strategy for this is creating what I like to call a brand ambassador program. So let's break this down for a minute. What does an ambassador do? An ambassador is someone who takes the flag of your country, right, and carries that flag into foreign countries and represents you in foreign countries, right? So what does a brand ambassador do? A brand ambassador is someone who goes out into the community and represents your brand to other people, right? So it's not just a matter of walking up to a client or a customer and handing them a little card and saying, hey, will you tell your family and friends? And then leaving it at that. That's not really enough, right? That will probably cause the occasional referral, but it won't put you in control of the number of referrals that you're getting, right? We want you to feel like you're in control of it. So the way to get in control of it is to actually create a couple of different things. Number one, you need to have some kind of incentive for people to become a brand ambassador. In my example of my own company, right? If a person refers someone to me and they're not a client, I offer 20% off their next service, right? If they're not an already existing customer. That wouldn't be particularly helpful for an already existing customer because they usually have already paid me. So in that case, I'd give them, if they're already an existing business owner in my inner circle or some other program I'm in the middle of with them, then they get an extra consulting call, right? So that's like $150 value right there, which I'm giving away to this person in exchange for them having talked about me to their colleagues or their friends. Now that person has to actually, their friend or colleague has to actually sign up with me for them to earn that, right? But that's an incentive that I give away, which gets me referrals, right? I actively get referrals regularly from my clients and from other professionals. So the first thing you need is an incentive. The second thing that you should have is some kind of incentive that they can offer to their friend or colleague. And what that does is it actually helps them overcome their friend's objections. Because think about it. If I went to a restaurant, okay, and I went, oh, this is a great restaurant. I'm going to go tell my friend about it. And I went and I told my friend, hey, I love this restaurant down the street. And my friend starts going, oh, let me tell you about that restaurant, blah, 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 and give me all of these like negative statements and objections about why they don't want to go there. That's going to make me as a friend feel very uncomfortable, right? And I may choose never to talk about it again. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but it certainly happened to me where I talked about something and then everybody kind of rained on that parade and I went, I don't really want to do this anymore. So in order to help the person, the person who's referring, to actually help overcome their friend's objections, we give them an incentive that their friend or colleague will get that they could not get anywhere else. Meaning this is not something that's already on your website. It's not something they can get if they just walk in the door. They only get it if they're brought in by a friend, okay? Because what that does, it's not to help the customer, the new customer. That's not the point. The point is to help the referring customer. So I go to my friend in this new scenario and I say, hey, blah, blah, blah about this new restaurant. You should check it out. And then they go, oh, I don't know. That's kind of weird. Why are you trying to get me to go there? And I go, hey, no problem. I actually just found out that if I tell you about this discount, you get it, but you only get it if I tell you, and you can't find it anywhere else. I just didn't want you to walk in there and miss out on the discount. Now I seem like a good friend, right, for referring. And it gives me this out where I don't have to feel uncomfortable about my friend's objections, okay? So that's a really brilliant strategy for, again, causing more referrals to happen in your company. The last tip I have for you is really sit down with your favorite customers and your favorite clients and tell them they're your favorite customers and ask them if they'll become a brand ambassador, right? So again, this is a different conversation than, hey, I've got a card, will you give it to your friends? This is actually a recruitment conversation, okay? You are recruiting them to become a brand ambassador and talk about you in the community for free. They're basically going to be volunteering for your business, right? So there needs to be a lot of love in this conversation. And of course, you're going to talk about the incentives, make sure they really understand what they get, what their friends get, etc. But you're actually going to call them a brand ambassador. By giving it a title like that, we make it seem like something special, which, let's be honest, it really is, because this person's going to be helping to build your business, right? So that's my tip for how to create a really powerful referral program. And that's the first R, is referrals. All right. Now let's take a look at the second R. The second R is reactivation. So again, this comes back to the story I was telling you earlier about the client who has literally been shredding past lists of clients. You don't ever want to do that, because the truth is your already existing clients are always going to be easier to get back into your company than going and finding a new client. The only exception is someone who had a bad experience or who wasn't really an ideal fit for your business anyway. So of course, if you have people who are like completely negative or toxic or suppressive to your company, you can shred those. And if you have anybody who had a really bad experience, then fine, maybe we want to let sleeping dogs lie and not bother them again, right? But if you have lists of past happy customers, don't ever get rid of those, because who knows, maybe a year down the road, you'll end up buying a new piece of equipment like that one guy did, right? Or you'll have some new offer or new discount that you want to go ahead and reach back out to those past customers and let them know. So reactivation is all about digging into your company, going through old files, old charts, your CRM, and finding missed opportunities, okay? I actually have a service I provide to business owners who are well established, like they've been in business for 5 years or more, and they have a CRM, or they have old charts, or they have files of past clients, where I'll come in as a business consultant and help them find money that's just sitting there in those old lists and figure out ways to bring those sales in, okay? So it's really, really valuable thing you can do in your own business, is take a look and see what you can find in terms of reactivation. All right, the third R, let's get to it. The third R is actually re-signups, or sometimes this is called doing recall, right? Recall is when the person, let's say the person's supposed to come once a month, so you have some kind of reminder system that gets them to come back every month, right? I have that in my company because I have a membership program. And so I want all of my members to take full advantage of me every single month, so they really see the value, right? And they're getting results month after month, so that they want to stick around. The other way to do it, if you don't have some kind of continuity element to your company, is re-signups, is figuring out, if a person bought X, what else does that mean that they might need or want that I can deliver, right? A great example of this happened just a couple of weeks ago when I made a post in a social media group asking if anybody wanted a free copy of my How to Do a Performance Review on an Employee workbook. So this is obviously a lead magnet for my company, right? And it's obviously only something that someone who has multiple employees would be really interested in. So I was hoping to attract really well-established business owners, which are a great fit for my service, right? And it worked way better than I hoped it would. In fact, it a little bit overwhelmed me. I got almost 200 people asking for me to send that to them, and I hadn't built a system to do it automatically. So I ended up having to have my virtual assistant go in and spend her time physically sending that one email at a time to 200 people, which was a little bit more work than we were hoping to have. But at the same time, it was a solid goal for my business because now I had a list of 200 people who were hot leads for what I can deliver, right? So if I think about it as a consultant, if someone really badly wanted a workbook on how to do a performance review on an employee, what does that tell me, right? Well, it tells me that A, they've got employees, B, they're a business owner, and C, that they probably are having some kind of issues with their employees, right? Because if you're going to do a performance review, either you've got some kind of culture problem going on, or maybe you have one particular problematic employee you're worried about. So it's just a very high likelihood that those people would be a really good fit for my service. So I had to think, what's the next step that I would love for these 200 people to take, right? These 200 business owners. And for me, it was quite simple. What I want them to do is I want them to reach out to me and do a consultation, right? But I had to come up with some kind of offer that was very specific to their problem. So we ended up creating an offer around a 5-day challenge for how to actually really build the culture and build the team that you want to have in your business. And we're still in the process of creating that. It's going to be probably happening next month. It's going to be a paid challenge for those particular 200 people. But of course, anybody else who's interested, if you guys are watching this, you can absolutely reach out to me, comment below, and I'll give you access. But as you can see, after we had that first initial success, we had to take the next step and make sure that we had something to re-sign them to, right? So no matter what you've already sold them, take a look at your business and see, do you have a large chunk of people who probably all have a very similar problem that you happen to be an expert in solving? All right. This is another really great way to make those 6 figures on the same clients without having to constantly worry about, where's my next client going to come from? Where's my next person going to come from? You don't necessarily have to go after brand new clients directly. You might be able to hit 6 figures this year just by applying these 3 strategies. All right. So I hope that was helpful to you guys in terms of client attraction. There's one other thing I wanted to cover today, which you'll see in the workbook, and that is how to really have a proper meeting with a client. Sometimes when we're interacting with clients directly, whether it be to get a project done or on one-on-one ongoing consulting or coaching or health or fitness, whatever it is you're working with them on, there's a couple of things that we can put in place that will really smooth that out. And remember, again, the more we can smooth that out, the easier it becomes to make 6 figures in your business, because you're creating exceeding expectations, you're creating satisfaction and happiness in the customer, and they're going to want to refer, they're going to want to go tell people about you, they're going to actually want to buy more from you, etc. Right? So there's really 2 fundamentals I wanted to mention here. The fundamentals for any client interaction, whether it be by email or phone or text or voicemail, is we need the person to have their attention on the project, right? Not attention on something else. So when you're scheduling with a client, for instance, maybe suggest to them that they be in a quiet place, right? Don't have your conversations with your clients while they're driving or while they're picking up the kids or while they're trying to make dinner. Especially if you seem to be having a difficult time building rapport with this particular client, or they seem like they might be struggling to have success through your program, or they're not happy with something, really try to have a one-on-one with them that is not distracted, okay? That's the first fundamental is the person has complete attention on the thing you're talking about. And the second one is willingness to talk to you. Now, you might think that seems super simple and almost like stupidly simple to talk about, but it's really important to realize that when the customer has an upset, or again, is distracted, or even if they're just feeling guilty about something that they were supposed to get done that they didn't tell you about, or they didn't get done before the call that you asked them to, their attention is not fully on the conversation, and their attention or their willingness to talk to you is going to be lowered. So we have to remove these barriers to the conversation before we can actually get anything productive done. And I think that this is something a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with, and even established business owners really struggle sometimes to remove those barriers and achieve person has full attention on the project and they're willing to talk to you and actually open up and tell you what's going on, right? So again, this is just a shameless plug to actually buy my book, but I wanted to let you guys know that I talk in depth in my book about how to overcome those problems, the three major barriers that you have to actually being in really good connection and having really good rapport with the customer. And those barriers, like I said, are they've got an upset either with you or just in life, right? Maybe their dog is sick or something, right? Like, but any kind of upset or distraction or feelings of guilt. Those are the three things that will get in your way the most when you're trying to have really positive interactions with clients. And I talk a lot about it in my book about how to overcome that. So I highly recommend you pick up a copy. If you want to earn a free copy, all you have to do is share your feedback from this challenge, today's challenge, to share your biggest takeaway, what you got out of it, what you're really looking forward to about tomorrow, and recommend to your friends or colleagues that they go ahead and register for it. It's not too late to register because they could watch the replay from yesterday and today and still be there for tomorrow. So this is your last chance to earn a free copy of my book. All you have to do is just tag me on social media and share the challenge link and share some kind of feedback or takeaway from today. All right. So those are my tips for you today. You'll find a couple other success tips for working with clients inside the workbook. One last announcement, and that is today we have a 1997, close to $2,000 bonus that I'm giving away today for free, but only for someone who actually does the homework, drops the homework in the group so that we can see that it was done, right? Just to verify, and then also shares their takeaways from today's training and from yesterday on social media, on your own platforms, either on Facebook or Instagram. Just go ahead and tag me. All the data on how to win is inside the workbook. So go ahead and download your workbook if you haven't already. And otherwise, thank you so much for coming today. It was really great having you, and I will see you again tomorrow, same time. Bye, guys.